All right, this next one is from Dylan Smith. Now, this is a two-parter here. So first, Dylan was just asking about the estimated cap going up, right? And how the Steelers are estimated to have 70 plus million. That is accurate. Now, they're not going to have the full 70. I think it's around 65 million is what they're estimated to have in additional cap space, because the cap is supposed to go up to 192.5 million, and the Steelers will currently have 127 million on the books. So it'll be roughly around like 65, a little bit over, or excuse me, 65, close to 66 million available, barring some type of restructure or crazy release, right? So from a money standpoint, the Steelers will be in a way better situation cap-wise next year than they were this year. Remember, this year, they had like $4 million available to them at one point. Whereas, like I said, at minimum right now, they're looking at 65 million plus.
Yeah, they could probably figure some way, too, if they really wanted to get it up to like 80, 90, maybe.
Absolutely. So they're going to have a ton more money available to them. Now, the next part of the question was, how much of that does he think, or do we think that TJ Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick could potentially eat up with their new deals? Before we get to their money, other guys that we're going to have to worry about as well, Joe Hayden, David DeCastro, Juju Smith-Schuster.
These guys are going to be free agents.
Chooks Okorafor, James Washington, potentially Mason Rudolph, because that would then be the contract year for him as well. Remember, with the new 1 year that they added on. So those are guys that are also going to be, these are starters or key contributors or guys that we definitely, need in some sports, and definitely in terms of Joe Hayden and David DeCastro. Shoot, Chooks and Juju. Yeah, I mean, that's 4 starters Edmonds. Right there.
Edmonds too.
I forgot Edmonds, because they didn't pick up the option. So he's another guy that's in that conversation. So
I got Ebron and Ben too.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even put Ben, because I just figured Ben is like the outlier right now. But you're right. He's definitely, because if he comes back, that's going to count. That's going to count. Now with Ebron, yeah. So he's another guy that's going to be in that conversation. So it's a ton of players where some of these guys are going to get paid. We talk about TJ and Minkah. We know those are big check guys. But even if Ben comes back, Ben is a big money guy. Like, think about, like, for example, 14 that he's playing for this year, right? That's super low end for him. We talked about the amount of guys that are going to be making more than him, and it's just laughter, like some of these guys, because they're bums compared to Ben, right? But for 7, that's a 1 year thing. We know, man, when you talk about that cap being 192 and 65 million plus, he's not coming back for no 14 no more. That was for this year. So that number is going to go up as well. So it's a lot that's going to eat up this. But with TJ and Minkah, based on the market for those guys, right? Joey Bosa, 27 million per year. Myles Garrett, 25 million per year.
Joey's 27.
Joey's at 27.
Joey's at 27.
Myles Garrett is at 25.
That's a bad one for the Chargers.
And then Khalil Mack is at 23 and a half. So TJ, when he signs his deal, it's gonna read highest defensive player in NFL history. We know that, or he's gonna be in that conversation.
Is that what you're thinking? You're not thinking hometown discount.
Listen, I was trying to find Donald. I said Donald's not in the conversation for highest paid right now. So TJ is gonna reset it. TJ is gonna get the new label of highest paid. So I'm anticipating. I put 27 plus.
I put 22.
Yeah,
I put that hometown discount on there.
Oh, all right. Let's hope for it then, right? But worst case, if Myles got 25, he's not going under 25.
I understand.
Yeah,
I have that hometown discount.
Yeah, so let's see. 20 hometown discount is 25 to me. I think he's gonna go for 28, 29, just based on the market. If Joey is at 27, when we get to comparing those two players, Joey Bosa versus TJ Watt, you compare the numbers, you compare the impact, you compare one's in defensive player of the year category back to back year, like it's different, So that part where
I can't believe they paid him 27. The first player I looked at was Garrett, just because I thought his was the highest.
Yeah, trust me. When I saw his deal, when Myles got his deal done and Joey got his done, I forgot. I think I was on the 97 The Fan. I remember we was laughing. We was like, "Yo, TJ is somewhere just laughing right now because he's gonna. This is gonna be. It's insane, bro. Like, yeah. And you got to think, Myles signed his deal. Was that last year or the year before? Joey was a year ago. So it's right in line. It's not even like they just signed it this year and that's where the new market is set. It's like, no, this is a year ago. So it's going to increase.
Bump it up $1 million or $2 for inflation.
Absolutely. So that part is going to be interesting. Now, I don't think. Well, this is the part too. So in terms of how much it could eat up in terms of next year's cap, they have flexibility, but it's going to be.
What would you do with these?
This is the thing.
Backload them?
No, I mean, if you're you're not taking a backloaded contract. Not at all. These type of guys we talking about, TJ and Minkah, no. Backloaded contracts, that's a nah. They ain't having that conversation. But okay. The way it would work is like this. You can do it where, since you're going to have a lot more cash available, signing bonus. You hit these guys with, let's see, TJ will be in year 5. So you hit TJ with 20. Let's see, if he's going to have 28 per year, right? Or 29 million per year average, right? We know year 2, year 3, there's nothing we can do about it. You're going to be stuck with the big cap hit just based on the salary, right? But what you do is this big bonus. So if I can give TJ a $20 million signing bonus, I can spread that hit on that signing bonus out for the next like year or two. So it's not going to count 20 million for this year. It could be, okay, we're only going to count, or excuse me, the 8 million base salary would count, right? Because we said if he's going to have a 28.
You would do it for year 2 and year 3.
So
maybe we could get some of these guys back.
Exactly. So the way you would have it is the 8 million base salary is going to count. And then say you wanted 4 mil from that signing bonus to count this year. So now only 12 mil is going to count on the cap for TJ in 2022, right? Going into 2021 season, right? Or no. After this season, so it'll be 2022 when you would get when that money would finally hit or whatever, right? So that's when it would hit. So you would do that and just spread it out with different bonuses, workout bonus, off-season bonus here, bonus there. So he's still going to get his money. He's still going to have his $29 million per year average, but it's just sliced up differently. And you could get in a situation kind of like Ben's where, all right, because not like Ben's, because Ben's is more restructured element, but if it gets to the point where at the end of it, the cap hit on him is already going to be at this level, it's because of the signing bonus and how they've already pushed it through. And that's what we were saying with Ben. Remember, we were like, well, even though Ben's base salary wasn't high, because he already had signing bonus money, he already had this money guaranteed to him and already had it paid, and they just spread it out like that. That was ultimately why it was like, dude, we're kind of in a bind because he's going to count for this much off rip just based on what he's already accounted for. So that's the part with TJ that you could have to worry about. But with TJ being younger, you don't anticipate TJ play falling down on this contract. If we're talking 2 contracts from now, different conversation. Like the Cam Hayward contract, different, right? We're like, well, yeah, you ball out this year, maybe you start to decline second year and then third year. All right, whatever happens. With TJ on this deal, you expect him to dominate this the whole way through. So I don't feel like it's as big a need to worry about, well, man, what if that cap pick goes up, his play goes down? We just don't think that's going to happen with TJ.
Okay. So what do you got for Minkah then?
Now with Minkah, Justin Simmons, he just got the new market set with 15 mil per year. Now Budda Baker, he signed his extension a year ago with 14.75. Him and Eddie Jackson with the Chicago Bears at 14.6. So Minkah, he's going to be right in that range. I feel like he could reset the market 15, 16, because when I think of him versus Justin Simmons and Eddie Jackson, I think that he's the better player, more productive accolades and stuff like that. Budda, though, can make a case because obviously Budda has the All-Pro. He has some of the similar accolades, but they're very different though in terms of Budda is more honey badger, whereas Minkah is more of like an Ed Reed, true traditional middle field safety. You know what I mean? So that part, you could make a case for Minkah to get paid more than Budda as well, but I just think that Minkah is going to be in that $15, $16 million range, man.
So with TJ's, we still haven't heard anything about this big contract yet. Isn't that supposed to be happening this offseason?
So the team has said that they're going to get it done, but there just haven't been a ton of like just conversations about it. I don't know if that's just both parties doing a good job of keeping it, between them two. We saw that obviously with JJ Watt and how he did his whole free agency. That could be a family trait. We don't know, but they have made it clear that they do want to get his deal done this offseason. Now,
what would he be playing on? Would he be playing on like $9 million or $10 million this year?
Option, yeah.
Because that's what I was thinking. Then for Minkah, the $10 million next year, like I'm assuming they're gonna get both of these deals done in these off seasons, right?
Yeah. So the thing, that you could potentially see with both of those guys, though, and I still don't feel like it plays out like this, but you could see it where I just don't feel like it's going to happen. I was going to say where you have TJ play on the 5th year this year, and then when the cap finally takes like that big boost, then you give him the mega deal, or you kind of do it like the credit card version, right? We signed the mega deal this year, even though we don't have that cash. We know we're going to get that cash next year. Then when it finally hits, now we're good. So that's another thing that you could do with them. But with Minkah, you could do something similar. You could come to Minkah and say, well, look, man, we're going to give you an extension where this first year is only going to pay you what you would have got on your 5th year option. But the following years after that, once we finally get this big boost in the cap, that's when your money is going to just skyrocket. Like, you can see that as well.
And that you could put the signing bonus on that year 2, year 3,
yes.
just like you were talking about with TJ's.
Yeah, so even though they would still technically get a ton of money this year, it wouldn't count until next year, just based on how they could disperse the salary cap and how it would count against it.
But yeah, if you could keep that 5th year option, like salary cap for us, that would be helpful at least.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge value then.
Oh, absolutely. But you can see, though, like I said, even with the additional 60 plus mil that we're looking at having next offseason, you still have a ton of key people that we're going to have to talk about bringing back. I mean, when you brought up Ben and Ebron, I didn't even think about, from that standpoint, but you're absolutely right. Ben coming back, so that's why when you talk about the signing bonus trick that I was kind of displaying right there, you can only do it so many times, right? Because if TJ's doing that and TJ's going to account for 10 or however low we can get that while we do his version, then we do Minkah's version, then we do Ben's version, then we do Ebron's version, like eventually it still is going to add up. And that's the other part of it. So, like I said, the
Ebron part of it will be interesting. The Ebron part of it will be interesting depending on how Pat plays or how, you know what I mean? And I guess even Joe at this point in his career, we got a lot of young cornerbacks right now too. Not saying we want to just write that off completely, but yeah, we'll see where we're at.
We shall see, man. We shall see.